So those are things we continue to work on helping our students have high aspirations. Thirdly, and I mentioned that earlier, the research is to develop clear academic plan and pathways for students. Tacoma Community College has a program called Declare and Prepare, and this goes with the research showing, and they've been working on it for 7 years, is if students can declare a major and even get into some sort of an orientation or introductory class in a particular major before they've completed all their English and math sort of thing, they tend to do much better and stay in school because they relate to where they want to be. And it's also confusing to take a look, if you look at our planning sheets and online and the hard copies, of what I need to take to get where I need to go. And that's the part where the research is showing that we need to give students fewer choices. And when I grew up, hey, it was sort of the 60s, hey, do whatever you want, man. But you know, the research is showing that you really need students, if you want to do this program, this is what you have to do. And no exceptions. And so it's sort of tough love, but that's one of the things that we're going to have to work with. Students that were successful, their feelings on that regarding clear academic pathways, they said, I was able to meet with an academic advisor at times convenient for me. An advisor, there's a word's going to keep popping up here, helped me identify the courses I needed to take during my first quarter. An advisor helped me select a course of study, program, or major. An advisor helped me to set academic goals and create a plan for achieving them. A college staff member talked with me about my commitments outside of school, work, children, dependents, etc., to help figure out how many courses to take. So I think long run, even with tight money, in my opinion, we need to have more educational planners or advisors to help our students. Our counselors are doing a great job, and I'm separating what counselors do with what advisors do. But I think the research in our practice is showing that connection with an advisor is really important. The fourth area is that we need to have some sort of a warning system if students are drowning, as Jill said yesterday, or falling through the cracks. There's some great software, the use of technology. There's a company here in Seattle called Tableau that's developing some early warning systems that alert counselors, advisors, and faculty if some of the things that students are doing indicate they're in trouble. And you'd actually get an email with a flashing yellow light or red light to say, Dolores Marabella, red light, she's missed class, or whatever. But so that we can rescue those students and do the appropriate intervention. That's the other part of it. You know, you can see, because you can see in your classroom they're not coming to class, they're not prepared. But what are we going to do about it? Maybe those advisors or those educational planners can jump in and work with those students to see what they can do so we can improve our retention rates and success rates. The last item that one of the things that I think we need to do in relation to our core requirements, and make no mistake about it, that what happens in the classroom is critical to the success of our students. And the research is showing particularly the first 3 weeks of the quarter are critical in a classroom. And instructional approaches that foster engaged learning are critical for student success. And because most community college students work, they have children, they're going part-time, to get them engaged, involved in the classroom is really important. And I've had the great pleasure, particularly those of you on tenure track, to observe you in action. And faculty do a great job of engaging your students in many, many different ways. And we had one of our faculty members this summer that had an experience about engaging students in something she did this summer. So let's see that little clip.
And Heidi Helen Lyman is a math and engineering teacher at South Seattle Community College. Lyman boarded the F-18 first with questions from her students in mind. After taking the flight, she knew exactly what she wanted to pass along to her students.
If you have any fears, I mean, you just face those fears. Some of my students actually fear math, but I just keep telling them in class they don't need to fear math if they, do it, follow the rules, the techniques, and just try it. And I do tell them when they do math, though, you can never get injured.
For the sake of time in today's program, there's another video clip that we'll show you sometime throughout the year where Heidi is zooming along at I don't know how many G's, and she says for her students, start at south, go anywhere. So, during the first 3 weeks of the quarter, if students do some of the following, their chances of success are much greater. And this is many things your faculty, our faculty are doing already. First 2 weeks of the quarter, if they ask questions in class or contribute to the class discussion. If they prepare at least 2 drafts of a paper or assignment before turning it in. If they participate in supplemental instruction, and by that, extra class sessions with an instructor, tutoring with a student tutor or experienced student. If they work with other students on a project or assignment during class. If they work with classmates outside of class. If they participate in a required study group outside of class. If they participate in a student-initiated, not faculty-initiated, study group outside of class. If they use electronic tools like Facebook or emails or MySpace to communicate with the instructor or fellow students. If they discuss an assignment or grade with the instructor. And if they ask for help from the instructor, receive prompt feedback from the instructor, discuss ideas from readings or classes with the instructor, use face-to-face tutoring, use writing, math, or skill labs, using our labs, or even if they use a computer lab. The research is showing, and our practice is showing, students that do that, particularly if you engage them and hook them in the first 2 weeks of the quarter, they're going to survive and be much more successful. You know, I believe if we continue to focus on our core themes along these 5 things in mind, early engagement, that is orientation and advising, high expectations and aspirations, clear academic career pathways, early warning systems for students and appropriate follow-up, and if we continue to have the great engaged learning that you faculty are doing in your classrooms, I really believe that we will increase our completion rates and help our students be more successful. You know, we are doing that now, we just need to do more of it. Late yesterday, and Marcia gave me, we received our feedback from, we do a survey of our graduates and students every year, the CCSE. This came in really late, so I'm adding this in, Marcia gave me last night. We're doing the right things. Let me give you a couple examples. South students were more likely to say they often or very often tutored or taught other students. This is compared to the national average. South students were more likely to say that they work with instructors on activities other than coursework more often. South students were more likely to spend more than 10 hours preparing for class. I don't know how often that is. South students scored higher on these other attributes on the national average. Active and collaborative learning, they worked with other students on projects more during class, way higher than the national average. Student effort, coming to class prepared by writing 2 or more drafts of a paper assignment, we were higher than the national average. Academic challenge, we're challenging them better than the national average. Worked harder than you thought you could, analyzing the basic ideas of the theory. Student achievement, we used email to communicate with faculty, talked about career plans with an instructor, worked with instructors on activities other than coursework. And last, and interesting, when we continue to score really high on support from learners, college encourages contact among students from different economic, social, and racial and ethnic backgrounds. So we're doing the right stuff. We just need to continue more of it and engage those students. So we're doing all the great stuff and all the wonderful stuff to make sure our students are successful. You know, I really believe that we're at the top of our game. We have been at the top of our game in many areas. And this summer I had a conversation with the leaders of our college foundation. And by the way, our college foundation has the largest endowed balance of any community college foundation in the state. We're almost $11 million. And that's the hard work of many people over years, including our current advancement staff, that most of that money is endowed for scholarships for our students. We're also in the top 25% in the nation. But in that conversation, the foundation was talking about how are we going to continue to do this great work? How are we going to stay on top of our game? How do we light a fire? And I'm a big fan of college football and college basketball. And when you win the championship year after year, it's hard to stay up there. And so what does the foundation need to do, and what do we need to continue to do to stay at the top of our game? So I really am convinced that if we follow our core themes, we're going to follow and track what we say we're going to do to measure our effectiveness. And if we follow and work on the 5 things we talked about on student success, that we will be at the top of our game, and we will make sure that our students are successful and do a better job than we even have been doing.